In this lesson titled Inserting and Deleting Rows and Columns, we're in Workbook Lesson 05, Layout Features, and we're in the Worksheet tab, Insert Delete. Often we need to add or delete rows and columns, and Excel has some very powerful tools to do that. Let's take a look at some of the ways that we can do that. If we want to insert a column, we can simply right-click on a column header. So I'm going to click on J right here. And you can see that when I clicked on it, it also selected the entire column. So I'm going to right-click, I get the whole column, and I can simply choose Insert. This doesn't say Insert Row or Insert Column. But because I have selected a column row header, it makes the assumption that you want to insert a column. So I'm going to click there, and you can see that that was inserted. Now, it also inserted this column with this formatting that was adjacent to it. So sometimes you will get that effect when you do that. Also, if I right-click, I can get Delete, and it's making the assumption that I want to delete this column because that's selected. Let's take a look at another way we could have done that. Just with my cursor right here, I've selected this cell and it's in the column that I want to add or delete. But if I right click here, I get Insert ... and Delete ... Those dots, by the way, are called an ellipse, and what it means is you're going to be presented with further information. So I'd say, well, I want to insert a column, so I see Insert, so I'm just going to click Insert. You get this Insert dialog box with all of your options. It may be that you're just dealing with that one cell, and it will insert, but it's going to shift all the cells to the right in order to insert a new cell. Or it might be shift cells down and insert one new cell. But it also might be insert an entire row or insert an entire column. So you can see we have a lot of choices here. What we meant to do was insert an entire column. So I click that. Once again, you see that it's picked up the formatting next to it. Don't be alarmed if you see these ... It just means that it's going to be asking you more information. But if you want to skip this whole step, just remember that you want to select the entire column. You can right click and choose Insert or Delete, and that would be the column. So the same is true for rows. So I'm going to come over here to row 10. I'm going to right click on that. You can see the entire row has been highlighted, and I can choose Insert or Delete. So I can insert and I get a whole new row. Now this brings up a kind of interesting point. I inserted an entire new row, and it automatically shifted all the data down to make room for that new row. But we have a little problem right here, and that is we inserted this information, this blank information, into another little table or range of data that I had off to the right. Now if you don't see this all the way off to the right on row 9, you may need to adjust your zoom down below. You could zoom out over here, click on the negative a few times, or you can grab this bar in the middle. And the reason you don't see it, it has to do with screen resolution. I can see quite a few columns, and you might not be able to see as many. So how can we solve this problem? How could we add a row of blank data here, a blank row, without affecting this information off to the right? Well, I'm going to delete this entire row because it's all blank all the way across, so I can just right click on 9, my row header, and choose Delete. And that's all gone, and it pulled up all this information. It all shifted up, so this looks good. Now this time on row 9, I'm just going to select just the information where I want to insert. So with just that selected, now I can click anywhere on this selection. So I'm just come over here and right click, and now I'm going to choose Insert, and you can see I have an ellipse. It means it's going to ask me some more information. Click on there, and now I have my choices. Let's take a look at those. it by default chose shift cells down, and this is what I wanted. I don't want an entire row. That was a problem last time. Shift cells down. It usually guesses this right. It shifts all of my data down, leaving me this blank row, and did not affect anything over here. So that's extremely useful. Same thing is also true for columns, but it's a little trickier the way it wants to shift information around. If I only select just a little bit of information in a column, and I right click and I choose insert, and I could say, you know, shift cells to the right, because I don't want an entire column, right? I just wanted to move some of it. Or I could say shift down. I probably don't want to shift all of that down. So shift to the right. You can see what it did was, sure enough, it shifted only this information to the right, but then it offset this information over here. Do you see how it destroyed this range of data and this range of data by shifting it all to the right? So I'm going to hit Control on my keyboard and bring that over. So the same tool applies, but it has kind of a different effect. You need to be careful. You're always safe with rows and selecting just blank information or new blank space by making a selection and then choosing right click and choosing insert, and shift cells down can overcome a lot of problems. Let's just undo that. I'm going to do a Control Z.